Thanks for tuning in to Women Who Open Doors, a podcast dedicated to lifting the voices of incredible women in our communities who not only excel in their careers, but inspire us through their actions for others. Hi, I'm Julie Collins, owner and coach of Not Magic, and it's my honor to help share the stories of these remarkable women. So without further ado, welcome to Women Who Open Doors. Welcome to Women Who Open Doors. I'm really excited today about the guests that we have joining us, and I would love to share a little bit more about her. So, named the 2022 Executive of the Year by the Milwaukee Business Journal, Peggy Williams-Smith is a Milwaukee native and veteran of the hospitality industry who joined Visit Milwaukee as the company's first female president and CEO in 2019. Under her direction, the company has launched exciting, dynamic marketing campaigns to increase economic impact on the community, but really truly elevate the city's reputation. Before her work at Visit Milwaukee, she worked for Marcus Hotels and Resorts for over 22 years and held leadership positions at varying levels throughout the division. She is a proud mentor of other women in business and uses her free time to support numerous charitable causes. So welcome, Peggy. I'm so glad you could join us.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
So I'm really happy that we could chat today. I was telling you before we started, there is a little bit of fangirl crush I have on you because I am a Milwaukee native as well. And you've just done so many great things for our city. So first of all, thank you for everything that you've done. But I wanted to first give people an insight into really what Visit Milwaukee is. And so in case anybody's really not familiar, so can you kind of share that?
Sure. Well, first of all, it's my team that has put us front and center, not me by myself. I think that my biggest talent is being able to identify and attract talent. And that's really what has made Milwaukee, besides Milwaukee just being an incredible city, that my team has the ability to showcase all the good that is happening here has really been a game changer for the organization. We're a 501c6. We have been around for 55 years, and our job is to market, sell, promote, and brand the city of Milwaukee. So I have a team of 45 wonderful human beings, and they do everything from connect with media throughout the world to tell the stories of Milwaukee. A sales team who I was with earlier this week, selling Milwaukee at a convention where we were meeting with association professionals from all over the world. And then I have a marketing team whose job it is to create and protect the brand of Milwaukee while also selling us to leisure tourists. And then obviously I have the support team that helps with everything internally that keeps a team that large running, from my CFO and my Vice President of Human Resources.
Oh, that's awesome. 45 individuals. And I thank you so much for recognizing your team, because I do think that's really the impetus for what helps organizations grow and get better too. So I love that you even did that at the beginning. You know, you described the different arms of the organization, but I was reading, and Hana and I, our producer, were kind of reading a little bit more about you. And so what I understand, and I just want to make sure that I got it clear. So you're really the sales and marketing arm also for the Wisconsin Center District. So Baird Center, Miller High Life, UW Panther Arena. So talk to us a little bit about that, because it's not just one angle, I guess, that you're overseeing.
Correct. So our sales team is the sales arm for the Wisconsin Center District, all three properties, the Baird Center, the Miller High Life Theater, as well as the UWM Panther Arena. And we partner with a sales team at the Wisconsin Center District led by Megan Setman. So that team often travels with us because what we do is we're the connector. So we connect our association or meeting planners with both hotel rooms in the city, so dealing with all of the many hotels, as well as off-premise events. Maybe they need transportation, and then also connecting those larger groups with the Baird Center and filling that Baird Center, which has become, double the size it was when I started with Visit Milwaukee nearly 5 years ago, we just underwent a $456 million expansion that was led by Marty Brooks, their CEO, and he did just such a fantastic job. We were very involved in the process to make sure that the convention center would do everything that we thought the meeting planners and attendees would need while being here, and it exceeded every expectation I could have possibly had. It has doubled our exhibition space. It has doubled the number of breakout rooms we have, and we added a fabulous rooftop ballroom with an outdoor terrace. And that is a game changer for us in the industry. All that natural light that flows into the convention center allows the attendees to get a flavor. When you also add in the art that was selected by a local committee, gives you a flavor for what's happening outside, which makes you either want to extend your stay after the convention is over or come back another time to make sure you experience all that is good in Milwaukee.
Yeah. I know economic impact, right? Big piece of your job, but talk to me a little bit about there's some soft things, right? Economic impact is hard measured, that you can, I imagine, see through some of the efforts, but then there has to be just a feeling or an energy also that you're creating about this city.
I've lived here my entire life, minus a few years. I've worked professionally in downtown Milwaukee for nearly 30 years. And I have been able to participate in a lot of panels, discussions about our city. And we are a very humble city that doesn't like to brag. And during the interview process, when I was looking to take this job, I made it very clear that that is not what was needed anymore. We needed to no longer be anyone's best kept secret, and that if I was to get this job, I would make sure it was my life's mission to make sure that people knew about all the good there is here. I understand that we are not a perfect city and that we have problems, but I speak to my peers across the country and they all have problems. And I do feel strongly that myself and my team are involved in organizations that make our city a better place. But when I'm out talking, I'm talking about the good things that are happening here. And just like any good salesperson, you don't talk about the failures, you talk about the successes. And I think that has definitely changed the way that we as citizens of the city talk about ourselves as well. There are so many great things that happen here each and every day, and we just want to make sure as a team that we're lifting those things up and that other people know what's happening here.
I love that. So in 2019, first female CEO, president that started for the organization. So kudos to that. But talk to me a little bit more about that vision that you had. I mean, did you have the Baird Center kind of in mind? Not that you designed the Baird Center, but from the big milestones, were you already thinking about these are the things that need to happen here in order for us to move the needle in Milwaukee? What were those things?
Well, I started my career at the Hilton Milwaukee City Center in 1997. And I started in November of 97, right as the then Midwest Express Center was being built.
Okay.
So, I have a very long and storied history with both Visit Milwaukee, which was then the Greater Milwaukee Convention and Visitors Bureau, as well as what the long-term plan was for that Midwest Express Center so many years ago. It was phase one. It was always slated to have phase three. Phase two did happen. It did happen on time, but phase three was to happen a long time ago. So, in the hiring process, Marty had just been hired as a CEO of the Wisconsin Center District. He knew coming in that it was his marching orders that he was to build that expansion. And I think that, in the interview process, I learned pretty quickly that that is exactly what needed to happen. I had gotten away from Milwaukee and the hotels. I was operating the Safe House brand for Marcus in the last part of my career with them. So I wasn't as intimately familiar with what was happening in the hotel market and the convention market downtown, just through senior leadership team meetings and talking to my peers. So, The vision was that we wanted to make sure that we were selling more conventions, that we were introducing Milwaukee to more people, that we were showcasing a higher level of visibility of all that Milwaukee has to offer. And I think that without even knowing what that was at the time, that I had some ideas. And I think that there was some concern because I didn't come from a tourism background, but rather a hospitality background.
Sure.
But I think that tourism background fit pretty well within the wheelhouse that I had within hospitality, attracting customers, talking about the good, being seen, all of those things, location, location. All of those things were incredibly important regardless of what you're selling. So it was pretty easy to make that jump once I got into this role. And after speaking with the existing team, and knowing back in 2019 that some of my work was done for me, we were going to host the DNC. That was going to put us on a worldwide stage and allow us to showcase to the world exactly how amazing Milwaukee was. So we were pretty excited for that.
Yeah. Were those some of the things that kind of sealed the deal for you when you took this opportunity? Because you even said, right, it was a change from what you had been accustomed to. So what attracted you to this job?
It's the best job I've ever had. It truly is the best job I've ever had. It is the ability to go out and talk about everything that makes our community great. I get to talk about everything from our amazing sports teams to being the city of festivals to talking about our brand new Baird expansion, the fact that we have 200 independently owned and operated restaurants in downtown. We have an additional, 1,000 independently owned and operated restaurants throughout the region. We have James Beard award-winning chefs. We were featured on season 21 of Top Chef, which allowed us visibility that we didn't have, to highlight the fact that we have the most theater seats per capita in the country. We created the theater district so that we can do some co-op marketing and showcase how there's something to do here every minute of every day. And, it's all of those things. It's our amazing corporate community that does so many great things for our city. I was actually fortunate enough to meet with a contingent of tourism professionals who are here for Irish Fest. Okay. And it was 6 different tourism professionals. One represented the country of Ireland, the county of Dublin, and then some of the regions within Dublin. And we were talking about Milwaukee and how they have been coming here for years because they market to the people at Irish Fest to come over and visit. But they've seen a significant and marked difference in how we portray ourselves in the last 5 years. And they all said that they saw us. They would come every year and tell the people that they, talk to in Ireland, "Oh, I'm headed to Milwaukee. What's Milwaukee?" After hosting the RNC, they all knew what Milwaukee was. It didn't have to be told. They were able to see it on their morning shows. Their journalists were here covering it. And it wasn't just covering the politics of what's happening. That's not why we chose to go after it. We chose to go after it because we knew it would put us on that worldwide stage, and we missed that opportunity in 2020. And it really has done just that. On the convention show floor, trade show floor earlier this week, we had people coming up who said, we were watching the coverage and we're asking the reporters, move out of the way. I want to see the new tariff. Because they were so excited about what they were doing, and to see a place that maybe they had considered for a meeting on this national stage, they felt connected to us. And it certainly has shown itself in an increased number of leads that are coming to us.
Yeah. I watched the whole series of Top Chef. Part out of curiosity. It wasn't a Top Chef, like I watched it every season, right? So I've only watched pieces of it. But I want some back-end baseball knowledge. Did you curate, helping them think through what to film, what not to film? Because you and your team, okay, I'll get back to it. It's not just you, but it really showcased us in a way. Even my husband, as he was watching it, we're like, wow, just we know it, but to see it on a TV series and some of the highlights.
I will tell you, I was skeptical about doing Top Chef. The opportunity first presented itself in 2019 through Paul Bartolotta. He brought it over to the MMAC. They called me. They said, "This is really what tourism does." They got me on the phone. I was so new in my job. I had no clue what this would mean. Obviously, we started having conversations. It was only 3 months into the position when the pandemic happened. So all the conversations stopped. And then when they came back in 21, but we couldn't do it because we were hosting the Ryder Cup and we didn't have enough of a time frame for them to do their filming because it was about an 8 to 10 week time frame for filming. When they came back, I had a new senior team in place. So this would have been in 2023. And the team was so excited. Now, I had done TV shows to promote restaurant brands and hotel brands in the past. Okay. And although they made a slight impact or a short-term impact, they didn't, in my opinion, meet the mark for the investment that I was making. So I was a naysayer on this. So that just shows you that the team was so they pitched it to me. They put together all the things that we could do, how we could highlight the city, how we would make sure that we showcase the best of the best as it pertained not just to culinary, but all of the natural resources we have here, all of those things. It was overwhelming at the premiere because I just think I underestimated the absolute impact this would have on our reputation. And it has changed the reputation of Milwaukee. Yes, will we always have beer and cheese 100%? But now that people know that we have more than just beer and cheese, that you can go to an amazing Ethiopian restaurant, go a block over and go to an incredible Cuban restaurant, go to one of our many fine Italian restaurants or steakhouses. And all of this is located within walking distance. And it is a celebrated community that was woefully underappreciated from a national perspective, and Top Chef changed that. So at the premiere, people were trying to talk to me and I sat in the back of the room and started to tear up. And it was not for me because it was my team that put this together. And I was so proud of the job that they had done to make this come to life. They spent hours putting together things that could happen, ways that they could showcase the city, ways to showcase the diversity, making sure not just to showcase downtown. And they did all of it, and I couldn't be more proud. And they were so good with the producers that the producers called us in February and said, we have another opportunity for you. Now, mind you, I hadn't seen the results because it hadn't yet.
You're like, slow down.
No, you've got to do this. We have to do this, Peggy. So we brought in the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. I was talking to our partners. Our partners are like, why are you going to showcase Milwaukee in February? I'm like, well, that's when we want the additional business. People know how great it is in the summer. I want people to know that this is a year-round destination. So they came, they landed in a private jet.
Your life is so cool.
On a Saturday or whatever day it was. It was February and it was 70 degrees and sunny.
Love it. Love it.
In February in Milwaukee.
One of those weird days.
Yes, exactly. So that's going to air. That'll air this year. So we'll have some constant coverage on TV showcasing all there is to do in Milwaukee.
Yeah, that is so fun. So fun. Just the stories you have to tell as well, right? Yeah. That's perfect. Talk to me a little bit about your team. So, at our company, we work with CEOs all the time. That's our customers. And really, we work with leaders that really care about their team. So I appreciate this model, but I want to talk to you a little bit about it. So talk to me about your philosophy, not just your belief in your team, but your team, even that example you gave, your team felt good, safe enough, I would say, to challenge you on a pretty big deal that many leaders don't get that challenging of a different philosophy. So how do you curate that? What do you strongly believe in besides I have to have a good team? How do you get that?
Well, I do believe that in order to, I was led by great people throughout my career, people who believed and trusted in me to make decisions and allowed me to make mistakes that allowed me to grow. And I always say that I don't get angry at the mistakes. and I don't get angry when we try something and it doesn't work. It's as long as we learn from a mistake, then it helps us to be better the next time. And I think that's really important. My team would probably say that my initial reaction isn't always great. And then I go back and I think about it and I'm like, oh yeah, you're probably right. Okay, let's try this, because I am pretty headstrong. But I do acquiesce and I do give in. And there are times when I do come back and I do say, you know what, I was right on this one. And next time we're going to have to pay closer attention to some of the things I brought up. And I think they appreciate that honesty and that openness. I have people I always thought of myself as a bit of a generalist. I started my career by, outside of bartending and waitressing, but by being a banquet and a catering manager, where my job wasn't to cook the food, it wasn't to set the table, but it was to coordinate everyone who was going to make that experience wonderful. And I just happened to be the face of it. Mm-hmm. And that's what I feel like my job is now, is to coordinate an amazing human who understands the market, the meetings market, and she knows how to motivate her team to go out and bring the best groups here to Milwaukee. She knows how to feed their need in terms of what they want to book, how they want to make money, and all of those things. On the communication side, I have someone who was born and raised here in Milwaukee who is absolutely passionate about this community. She heads up communications and advocacy, and she is so passionate about what it is we do and what she does that you can't help but just be drawn in by her love for this city. My chief marketing officer, you'll hear that I tend to hire more females than I do males. So I now have 2 males on my senior team. Josh, who's our chief marketing officer, he comes from the industry and he brings such a wealth of knowledge that the rest of the senior team doesn't have, because we come from here. We come from the city. We come from our respective backgrounds in terms of what we're doing, but not from the world of tourism and the world of destination marketing organizations. So he does a really good job of making sure that we're utilizing the resources we need to go out and really be able to showcase and then turn that into data that shows that we are bringing people in. He's so very good at that. Our director of event experience is a boomerang. So she left the company before I came back, and then she came back when we had an opening. We had someone who worked for us who actually got snatched away by the DNC to go work for them.
Oh, okay.
So we brought Michelle in, and she's passionate about our partners and all of the partners that we have, over 950 different types of businesses who believe in us and believe in tourism and believe they can benefit from tourism. So she's an expert on all things transportation, printing, you name it, anything that you think would touch tourism, and some things, quite frankly, that you wouldn't think would touch tourism, she does. And then I have Tony, who just started as our director of inclusion and community engagement, a new position for us. And he is also the head of the Equal Rights Commission for the city. He is very well known. He is a transplant. He's not from here. He is adopted Milwaukee has his own. He started as a volunteer. He's passionate about what we do, but he's also passionate about inclusion and the community. And that really helps us to make sure that we're looking through that lens in every decision we make, because it's one of our core tenets. And then our 2 administrative leaders, our chief financial officer, Misha, also born and raised here in Milwaukee, and Christina, who just started with us as our vice president of human resources. They believe in Visit Milwaukee. They believe in the passion of the team to be able to sell Milwaukee, to talk about the stories. We're storytellers. That's what we are. We tell the stories of all the good things that are happening here. I often say to my team, we don't make anything. We don't make the beds. We don't serve the coffee. I mean, sometimes if people look like they're short-staffed, maybe we will. But for the most part, our job is to tell the stories of the people who do the work. And that's what we're known for across the country, is our people. So even though, I have a fabulous team who harnesses the energy of all these fabulous people, it is the fabulous people of the city that set us apart.
Mm-hmm. I've traveled too quite a bit. I was in sales for a very long period of time, East Coast, West Coast, and I always got the feedback that you guys here in the Midwest, you're a different breed, meaning you're easy to work with, you get stuff done, you're just nice to have around, right? It's not just
Right.
the Minnesota, Wisconsin nice. Like, we're productive, but we're just good people at the end of the day. And they enjoyed it, even though they might be from California or they might be from New York, and they had a perception, as you were talking about, there was a perception of what's here. And even interactions like that also always gave me a positive feel of like, yeah, it's here. It's here. I wish more people knew.
And
So,
I think that's part of why we're bringing in these big name events, conventions, TV shows. It allows other people to see what we've known all along. During the process of bringing the RNC here, the RNC made the decision that they were going to start booking further out. So they had selected Houston for 2028. So Houston got a first time ability to come to Milwaukee and see what we were doing so that they could do it what they hope is better in 2028.
yeah.
During that time, our team spent a lot of time with our counterparts in Houston. And what they said to me in a meeting after being here for a week was, I'm going to be completely honest with you. We all, as DMO leaders, often say that we have the best people in our destination. But I have got to tell you, you really have the best people. Like, we're not making that up. Everyone is so nice. And I like to be a fly on the wall. So last night I played tourist in my own city. I was at the night market with my husband. I had flown in from a convention, went downtown to go to the night market, and we ended up at Moe's at the end of the night. And I was sitting next to two people who were not from Milwaukee. They were not from Milwaukee. They were here on business. They were doing things, but they knew the bartender. They had all of these conversations about how absolutely amazing Milwaukee was before I told them what it is I do.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's just that it is Milwaukee.
Well, I know I said at the very beginning, Peggy, that you're very instrumental in mentoring other women. So as you took on that job, or maybe any other parts of your career where you kind of hit that brick wall, and not just even for being a woman, but what were some of those obstacles that you had to overcome to get to where you are today?
Well, I do think that as women, we think we have to have all of the qualifications to apply for a job. Whereas a man will look at a job description and say, oh, I meet half of these. I'm putting in for the job. And I thought about that. I had heard that a lot in my career, and being part of women's organizations, I think those are instrumental in growing your career. I was a former past chair of Tempo. I sat on the board of Professional Dimensions and Milwaukee Women Inc. Those are all incredible organizations that help you connect with other women who help you to see all the good there is in you when you can't see it yourself. Because as women, we tend to be very self-deprecating. So literally, this job got posted in early 2019. And I thought to myself, if Donald Trump can be president of the United States, I certainly have the qualifications to be the CEO of Visit Milwaukee, which, I didn't, if I would have listened to my inner self and not my trusted friend board of directors who were like, oh no, you have this, and who immediately went to work on my behalf, lobbying for me throughout the community, saying, this is the job. She is the right person for this job. And I think that a lot of those relationships started with my involvement in those women's organizations. My business was very male dominated when I was on the hotel side. And so it was necessary for me to form all of these friendships and relationships through those organizations that I really think that I attribute to where I am today.
That's awesome. So what last bits of advice would you provide to those women? And, I always say this podcast is not just for women. We are not just exclusive that way, but what's the advice that you give, to especially women or men trying to move through their career? What's the one biggest piece of advice that you give to people?
Well, I don't think there is one big piece of advice. I will tell you that it is very easy to compare what you're doing with what other people are doing. And I learned early, because there was always a natural tension in hotels between catering and sales. there was just a natural tension. The catering people were the ones who had to be there on the weekends to greet the brides and make sure that the food went off on time, whereas the salespeople were the ones who equally, which we didn't know, had to go to dinners with clients and may have had to fly out to a city to sell the city on a Saturday or a Sunday. And at first I let that feed into my attitude as to what I was doing. And then I realized that it was never going to change. And why would I want to change it? There were aspects of my job that I loved that I wouldn't get if I was on the other side. And at that point, I said, you know what? I'm not going to focus on what so-and-so is doing. I'm going to focus on the circle of influence that I have, that I can affect. And unless this is affecting my circle of influence, I'm not going to let it bother me. And that's a game changer.
Yeah.
Because, as women, we often feel as though we have the weight of the world on our shoulders and we want to be a part of every problem and every solution.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that becomes overwhelming. Mm-hmm. So if you can really look at an issue and say, you know what, this has nothing to do with me. It's not going to affect my success or what I'm doing in my job. And you can learn that early on. It will help you with success in your career in later years.
And just self-deprecation, right? Like if you think you can fix everything, because I am with you, and then you can't control it, then you kind of blame it on yourself. So what did I do? And you're right. It just kind of drags you down emotionally, physically, and any other aspect. So that's cool. Thank you for that advice. So this podcast is going to air here in later fall and into winter. Is there anything you want to highlight?
Well, the fall is still an amazing time in Wisconsin and Milwaukee especially. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of different activities that happen throughout the fall. These are all things that should, if you're not from here and you're listening to this, or if you're from here and you're listening to this, you should visit our website. We have the most comprehensive events calendar that you'll find. It tells you where the concerts are. It tells you where the festivals are. It tells you all of these things. As a matter of fact, when this airs, the announcement will have already come out that we were named as one of the world's best festival cities by the International Festival and Events Association, International Association that gets launched in late September. And we're really excited about that designation because we are the city of festivals. Our festivals don't just end. Aren't just between Memorial Day and Labor Day. We have an amazing Holiday Lights Festival put on by an amazing woman who runs Bid 21, Beth Wyrick, and she does so many fantastic things for our downtown neighborhood that really allows us to shine throughout the year. And that is incredible to both locals, people who just come in during the day to work in our offices, or people who want to come downtown and be a tourist in their own city and stay in a hotel and have a nice dinner out. So, make sure you hit our website and look at that event calendar to see all of the amazing things that are happening here.
Remind us of the website, Peggy, just so that everybody has it.
Yeah, it's visitmilwaukee.org. And even if you just put in events in Milwaukee, our calendar is going to be the first thing that pops up. We have amazing search engine optimization thanks to my team.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I am going to have a staycation downtown next weekend, and I highly encourage it for anybody that lives around here, because so often we do forget about all of the things, or we just rush downtown for a meeting or maybe one thing. But it is really fun to just walk around and also do things that you hadn't done before. So
it is.
Thank you so much. I could keep talking. Lots of other questions, but thank you so much, Peggy, for being with us today. And again, just thanks for all the work that you and your team have done to bring Milwaukee more to the forefront, and we're making such great progress. So I can't thank you enough.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed this episode as much as we have. Are there inspirational women leaders in your life? Recommend them for this podcast by emailing me at jcollins@knot-magic.com and telling me why they're the perfect person to be featured. And please leave us a review on Spotify, iTunes, or wherever you find your favorite podcasts to help us share these amazing women with others.